They are hot out on the plains. Just over the weekend, top 50 edge Jared Smith commits on Saturday right here on the On3 Recruits channel. But that's not it. There's a ton of buzz going on, and we're just going to cut right to the chase. Quarterback Deuce Knight has been committed to Notre Dame for nearly a year, and now there's smoke that he could be flipping to Auburn. You had a huge story that kind of took the lid off this thing on Friday. Give us the details and what you're hearing on Deuce Knight.
Well, Auburn's kind of been spatula city since Hugh and this staff got on the plains. That first recruiting class they finished off at the end of the 2023 cycle had a lot of big flips. They're looking for more here in 2025. They just flipped Derek Smith from Alabama, one of the top athletes in the country. They're going to play in both ways, Josh. And Deuce Knight is the guy that they want under center, commanding this whole thing. He is the quarterback that they've locked in on. We've had Auburn kind of hovering around a few quarterback flips this cycle, from Julian Lewis of USC to the in-state guy, KJ Lacey in Texas, but they're all in on Deuce Knight, and I like the way it's shaping up right now. The intel is favoring Auburn. When I shake some trees around South Bend, when I shake some trees around Auburn, when I shake some trees around Ole Miss, I like the way it's coming up for Auburn right now. They just got to get it across the finish line. I think Deuce Knight likes Auburn's track record and history at quarterback, what Hugh has done offensively, the receivers that Auburn has recruited, led by Cam Coleman at Auburn. He's got a chance to spend time around those guys. I think he feels like he fits in. Auburn is in fantastic shape to flip Deuce Knight as they try and make a run at a top 5 class. They were top 10 last year, Josh, finishing number 8. They're number 6 right now. Good chance to finish in the top 5 with some of these big timers they still have on the board.
Yeah, and we knew, with all these early quarterback commitments that we could see some flips. Now, Deuce Knight's not the only one that you're reporting that there's some flip talk around. Also, Hussein Longstreet, who is committed to Texas A&M, you're reporting that he's been talking to USC. So this leads me to my next question for you. Is the Hussein Longstreet and USC talk related to what's happening in Julian Lewis's recruitment and the fact that, he's also looking at Colorado? Are all these things tied together?
Well, had Julian Lewis committed to USC in the fall like he did and not talk to anybody, not take any other trips, Coach Hugh over at USC would not be building any relationships with any other quarterbacks. They'd be locked in on Julian Lewis. That was their number one guy this cycle. But Hussein Longstreet told me at the Elite 11 finals that he'd been talking to Coach Hugh over at USC. He's committed to Texas A&M. I think he's strong in his commitment to the Aggies still, but I think things are starting to pick up with USC here. Look, man, if you're talking to somebody else, we're talking to somebody else, and the local quarterback is pretty darn good. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But as I talked to you this morning, I still think Hussein Longstreet is strong with Texas A&M.
And do you think that Julian Lewis is strong with USC?
Well, that's always been the tough one to put a finger on, right? It just depends on who you talk to and what day of the week it is. When he announced that he was reclassifying, there was a chance that he was also going to announce a decommitment. But Lincoln Riley went into school that week. That was when college coaches were on the road and was able to hold that off. And when you talk to Julian Lewis in the past and his dad in the past, they know what that opportunity is at USC to be the starting quarterback for Lincoln Riley. You're pretty much guaranteed to win the Heisman Trophy. You're pretty much guaranteed to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. You're pretty much guaranteed to stay healthy under center. Lincoln Riley's starting quarterbacks have stayed healthy historically. They like the offense, how Coach Riley pours into the quarterback position and the offense. Those are all things that are exciting. They just continue to go through their process and have conversations with other schools and take a bunch of other visits, and that's okay. But now you're here in a situation where USC's like, well, look, we got to talk to other quarterbacks now. We're at a position now where Auburn is not recruiting Julian Lewis as much as they're recruiting Deuce Knight right now, right? You still have Colorado pouring everything into Julian Lewis. You still got Indiana pouring everything into Julian Lewis. USC, talking to his source last week, they thought he would stick with USC, but I think these recruitments remain fluid. So I'm excited and interested to see where that one goes.
I don't think that's ever been reported. Lincoln Riley prevented Julian Lewis from decommitting when he reclassified. That was.
Well, I wouldn't say that specifically. What I would say is that there was thought of maybe reopening the process at the same time that he reclassified. and Lincoln Riley went into school that week, could they have still not opened the process had Lincoln Riley not gone into school? I don't know. I'm just saying that Lincoln Riley and USC have poured a lot into Julian Lewis. That recruitment, he was number one on their board in 2026. They never offered a 2025 because they knew he was going to reclassify. Bryce Underwood was even interested in taking a visit out to USC before he committed to LSU, and they were like, no, you're a talented player, but Julian Lewis is the guy we're locked in on. That's how USC does it. That's how Lincoln Riley's always done it. One quarterback at a time. You're my guy. I'm investing everything in you. But this is, one of the few times where we've seen one of his quarterback commits show interest, so much interest in other schools. Obviously, Brock Vandegrift was committed to him at Oklahoma, decommitted and flipped to local Georgia. Just Julian Lewis recruitment has been a lot more drawn out.
Yeah. All right, Steve, let's get back to the Plains because there's more good news for Auburn. We're still in this Auburn segment, and you have a new RPM pick in for Tyler Lockhart. Yes, he was already committed to Auburn once, and now in this NIL era, back 5-10 years ago, Steve, when a guy decommitted, we very rarely saw him even consider the team that he was coming from. Now, a recommitment is a new term that we use kind of frequently, and now you have RPM in for Tyler Lockhart to go back to Auburn. What's going on here?
Yeah, a source with knowledge of the recruitment told me last week that they expect him back in the fold at some point. So he's still on commit watch for Auburn. Look, Hugh Freeze and his staff, they're built for the recruiting trail. They're mixing it up. They're looking for flips. They're recruiting the best players in the country. They want to restore Auburn back into a national title contender, and you can't do that without acquiring talent. They're doing it on the trail. They're doing it in the portal. They're exhausting all avenues, and I think this is another one that's going Auburn's way right now.
It sure seems like it, and one that seems like it's trending slowly in Auburn's direction is 5-star corner Naeem Offord, who's committed to Ohio State. There hasn't been much talk about him potentially flipping, but we can't ignore that he keeps showing up at Auburn here and there. So Naeem Offord, can Auburn flip him?
Well, you've heard me say, Josh, that I think anyone trying to flip Naeem Offord from Ohio State is going to be a major uphill climb because of his relationship and the family's relationship with Tim Walton, the Buckeyes cornerbacks coach in Ohio State's track record of player development. But Auburn, they got their walking stick and they're navigating that hill, Joshua. They're trying to get up to the top, and I view them as a contender for Naeem Offord. He's been there twice this summer. His official visit in June, return for Big Cat Weekend. And I feel some optimism around the Plains for Naeem Offord in Auburn's position right now as they try and flip him. I view Auburn as the biggest threat to flip Naeem Offord. Certainly you got Oregon and Alabama and some others trying. But as we talk right now, going into fall camp, Auburn is getting up the hill a little bit.
Man, what a run it would be for Auburn if they could lock down the number one player in the state, already dominating the state just in that top 10. But to land Offord could vault them into really, right now they're sitting at number 6. So Auburn fans, talk to me and Steve. How do we feel about this class? Does it have top 3 potential? Landing Naeem Offord would certainly get you there. So let us know, comment section below.